forge knives in a very specific manner. I always start with the front part of the blade. We always forge in our tip first, which means upsetting our corners, working the mushroom out, drawing down and out, and making a nice transition from the edge to the spine before we isolate the tang from the front part of the knife. As you can see here, we have now drawn a distal taper on that tang. And all that means is it's thinner at the back part of the tang and gets thicker as we move up towards the ricasso. And now what we're going to do is we're going to mirror that taper on the blade portion of the knife and make it go from thick at the ricasso to thin at the tip. Stamping is a rather important skill to learn. What I've started doing as of late is I'll hit it here once and then I'll let my piece cool a little bit so I can see the stamp a little bit better, the impression that it gave, and then I'll hit it again, maybe a third time, to set it a little bit deeper but make it a whole lot clearer and crisper so that you can really see it. Plus, it helps when you go into the grind. You're less likely to grind that off because you've gone just a little bit deeper. Now during the quench here, I did something that I normally don't do. I took it out, created a fireball. I wanted to see what it looked like on camera. And we keep it moving though. You want to keep it moving. You don't want any kind of cavitation to happen on the outside of this blade. It can cause the blade to crack, warp, and ruin your day. I do want to take the time right now to apologize. There are a few scenes in this video that are out of focus. We just got a brand new camera and we're still learning how to use it. So with that being said, I apologize. This is profile grinding. Now you can completely skip this stage if you've done everything at the anvil with a hammer. Do it all the time. Absolutely love it. It's a great learning experience if you've never done it, seeing what you can do with a hammer. But for the most part, what normally happens is we form, or forge I should say, what I like to call a potato that looks like a knife. It's bigger than what we need it, and we grind back to the parameters that we've set forth for ourselves. I rarely plan anything out, so all the parameters are just in my head of what I want it to look like, right? But you as a smith, you could maybe plan everything out, have a pattern you set up, put that pattern on there, mark it out, and grind to your lines and be set and good to go. This type of grinding your geometry in and getting the blade's thickness down to what you want it to be is only possible if you make what is commonly referred to as primitive style knives or kitchen style knives that do not have plunge lines and a noticeable ricasso area, that noticeable break between the handle, bolster, and cutting edge. So I prefer the primitive or kitchen-like knives to where the cutting edge goes all the way back to the finger catch, and usually there's a pronounced enough finger catch you're not going to get your fingers up on that cutting edge. Anybody who's used a knife before knows that you just don't do that. But for high-end knives, you definitely want to put plunge lines in. It's what's expected of you. And, you know, in this business, what's expected is what sells. Now that we have all that really bad forged scale off the blade, we're really close on our edge geometry. We've done our taper. We're just refining that taper. Now we are going perpendicular to where our grind lines were when we started, which were vertically running parallel with the grain of the blade itself. This just allows us to refine that edge geometry, get that cutting edge or the potential cutting edge down to the thickness that we want it to be at before we start into the next process. This is finish grinding. We're using conditioning belts of varying coarseness. So this is the belt we're using right now is the most coarse belt that we have in the conditioning belt. Then we'll move to the medium coarse, the light coarse, and then finally the ultra fine. That ultra fine gets us about 800 grit, so we're getting a pretty good finish on it. Now granted, you see a lot of makers, they'll tell you right away you want to go to like a 1200 finish before you etch this. That is true. If you have the paper, the sandpaper to do it, you might as well do it. The end product's going to be that much better, and you're going to be happier for it. I did say this didn't have a ricasso, but all a ricasso is, it is like an unsharpened portion of a blade, and it's typically found on knives and swords and daggers, and normally it's right there in front of the guard or handle, and what it serves as a transitioning point and providing a flat, thick area for grip and control of your blade. That's all a ricasso is. What we're doing here is we're isolating the tang from the ricasso and the cutting edge portion of your knife, creating shoulders on here to where everything sets up against, so we have a nice clean transition area when we go to assemble the blade. The handle material that we've chosen for this knife is actually a handle material that was specifically designed for bows. It's a hardwood maple laminate plywood, and it's great. It grinds really good, it works really good, it's super hard, super dense, and it's not ever going to come apart. So this is commercially glued together, and it's a great product. I absolutely love using it. And this specifically process that I'm doing right now, if I'm not burning in a tang then or a handle, then this is what I'm doing. I'm taking a drill press, making some holes in it, and then basically routing it out until the tang fits down in the handle. So in this portion right here, we're just going to be laying out the our block here with the dimensions that we want our handle to be, and where our tang's going to sit on the inside, so we can drill our hole. We did have an issue with the tang being a little hard, so we did end up taking and pulling the hardness out of it with a torch, which you'll see here in a little bit, and it was still a little hard. So what I didn't film is I took it out, and we ended up getting the hole in there with a tungsten carbide bit in my Dremel tool, and it made short work of it, but unfortunately we didn't film it. Shaping the handle this way is unfortunately what you have to do when your bandsaw gearbox goes tits up on you. So, a lot more work, a lot more time, a lot more everything. It's a whole lot quicker with a bandsaw. Those that have a bandsaw, have used bandsaws, understands this. This is not quick right here. And you can't just lay into this or you end up burning up your belt and ruining your belt. Even with wood, yes, you will ruin a belt. You can burn it up, and you will just end up burning up your piece as well. You're going to end up going through more freaking material and wasting more money if you just don't take the time to do it if you don't have a bandsaw. What we're using here is a rasp, a wood rasp, to just really hog it down in a very specific, controlled way. The grinder is, let's basically do surgery with a chainsaw, and this hand rasp is roughly like using a dull scalpel, right? It's when you get into hand sanding and everything else that the analogy would then say you're using a laser to do surgery with instead of a chainsaw. That's basically what it is. You're just getting it down to shape as quickly as possible, and then you're taking and using sandpaper to smooth it out. On these primitive style knives like this, kind of mountain man-ish knives, if you will, I really like putting leather as the cap. It serves a multitude of functions. Helps cover up the nasty, channel you just put in this thing. It also helps create a nice clean transition from the handle to the blade, and you can stabilize this and pack it full of epoxy and super glue and all kinds of different things to where it'll stand up over time, and then when we seal it, it'll be like as hard as the rest of it is. I mean, it will wear, and that is to be expected, but over time it will start to kind of shine and buff up a little bit. Leather's very durable when prepared properly. I don't use any fancy dancy epoxies. I use Harbor Freight epoxy. It works fine for what I do. It dries clear, it dries strong, it's 5-minute epoxy. I do use some others, but for the most part I'm using the Harbor Freight brand epoxy. Now, you use whatever epoxy you like to use. I have a buddy, Jesse Latham, he uses expensive epoxy. It dries yellow, no big deal. You wipe it up and he swears by it. It's the best thing possible. He's also making some very intricate, very beautiful, very high-end flipper knives to where the bond needs to be quite a bit stronger than like I'm using. I'm making knives like this right here. So if I was making kind of those high-end type of knives, I'd probably use a more expensive, higher grade epoxy. Now, the last thing I do before these knives go out to the clients is I coat them multiple times in a marine varnish. This is a like Total Shine, Shine Bright, something. It's off of Amazon. And I think I've showed it in the past what I use in one of my other videos. But yeah, we put 3 to 4 coats on it. This is like the second coat that we did on this one, and we sand in between the first coat and the second coat with a 600 grit, knock back any rough parts to it, and then we coat after that, and we just let them hang up and we go on from there. This knife turned out really good. It looks really good, and I had a lot of fun making it. I always have a lot of fun making these. It's just, I love doing it, and yet some turn out better than others, but this turned out really good and the client really liked it. I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Stay safe out there, be well, and as always, Forge on.